Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's begin our video with a story of solid revenge on the landlord. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I bankrupted a landlord. I found this guy on Craigslist a few years ago. I like renting condos from private owners as opposed to renting apartments. Typically, by renting a condo, it's safer, you have more caring residents, you get to have a luxury apartment-style home with all the amenities, and you can negotiate pricing, etc. I'm an excellent tenant, and anyone I've rented from will tell you that. I paid a $1,000 deposit to move into this guy's condo. I was on a 1-year lease. He lives in another state, but we were on the same time zone. On month 8 of my lease, I come home to a door that wouldn't open. I couldn't get the door unlocked for crap. I had 2 keys on me. As much as I tried to turn them, I couldn't. One of the keys even broke in the lock. I waited 2 hours. I called, I texted, I emailed my landlord, and he didn't pick up. I thought maybe he had someone to change the locks for some reason. I honestly didn't know what to think and had no one to help me. The lady who lived across from me saw me in distress as she was going into her apartment. I'd never seen her, but she asked me if I were okay, and I explained to her that I couldn't get into the apartment. She told me that she knows an on-call locksmith, and she gives me his number. I tell her thanks and reach out to my landlord a few more times, no response. I had no choice but to call the locksmith. Plus, I had to pee like crap. The locksmith arrives and couldn't get the door unlocked with my key. He says he can replace the lock for like $100. I told him I was renting a condo and couldn't get in touch with the owner and didn't know when would be the next time I could get in touch with him. And he then took the lock off. He told me it was faulty, so he replaced the lock. I told the landlord this via email and text and voicemail and told him that I could send him copies of the keys if he wanted. Okay, so fast forward to the end of my lease. I demanded that he does a walkthrough with me. He said he wouldn't. I told him that if he didn't do a walkthrough, I would be notifying the condo office as he did not have permission to sublease by the association. He then had a friend to serve as his proxy to come meet me and walk through the unit. The place was spotless. I know how to clean. I took multiple photos and videos and showed his proxy, who is a police officer of the unit. Actually, they're both police officers who used to work together. We both literally tested all the appliances, faucets, checked the blinds, carpets, hardwood, everything. His proxy gave me the okay and said that everything looked great. I give his proxy the keys and later that night left for my new city. So fast forward to a month later. I still haven't heard from him about the deposit. He ignored all my emails and phone calls. He finally gets back to me 2 months after I moved out and has all this ridiculous made-up crap about how I damaged his unit. Broken blinds, scratches on the hardwood floor. He made it seem like I damaged his door by getting the lock replaced. He said there were scratches on the outside of his door, rust here and there, broken dishwasher, broken sink, oven was broke, broken dryer. SMFH. Just all effing lies. I would never leave a unit in that condition. He sent me an itemized list of all the charges that magically came out to be $1,000, the same as my deposit. He was always planning to keep my money. He wanted that money to either ball on it or upgrade his condo. I hated him. I decided I wasn't going to go to court because I'd moved to a different state and live alone, but I thought of something. He rented to me under the table and likely didn't claim my rent payments as earned income. I had all my wire transfers on my bank statement. I had his routing and account numbers and a copy of his driver's license as we agreed to swap IDs when I signed the lease to make sure I wasn't getting scammed. I found his out-of-state address online, gathered my bank statements, gathered his bank account numbers, and made a report with the IRS. About a few years later, I check up on things, and that B-turd lost his condo and lost everything he owned in bankruptcy. I paid for and downloaded his court records and saw proof that he lost everything, including his condo and cars, and had his bank account seized. I'm not sure if he went to jail or anything, but I'm so glad that B-turd got his effing karma. He stole money from me that I gave him to rent a condo, and he ends up losing that same condo to bankruptcy. And our next story. I get the ultimate revenge on an identity thief. To set the stage, it was 2005. I was living on my own, had a girlfriend, my own apartment, and a paid-off used car. I was working as the assistant manager of a gas station. I made decent money for the time and was living comfortably, but I was far from being rich. My younger brother Kyle was living with me at the time. He had nowhere to go as the rest of my family refused to deal with him. In their defense, he did lie, cheat, and steal on a daily basis and had a drug habit. He even broke my arm deliberately once. I was trying to do the right thing and get him on track. I got him a job and would take him to work, gave him some spending money, and allowed him to live rent-free. The rules were simple. I didn't care if he smoked, but it wouldn't be in my apartment. Illegal substances would not cross into my apartment. One day, I decided to surprise my girlfriend with 9 Inch Nails tickets at the Tabernacle in Atlanta for her birthday. They were her favorite band. I had this planned months in advance and ended up working a double shift the night of the concert and driving down there due to some sudden personnel issues at work. When I got back the following morning, which I had off, I stopped by my work to make sure there were no more sudden schedule changes. My manager, Betty Jo, saw me and had a look on her face that I'd only seen the day she got robbed. I knew it was bad. She sat me down and explained that Kyle had tried to get a ride to a spot in town that was notorious. Kyle admitted he was trying to sell a significant quantity of some crap pills to a coworker, which could have cost me my job. I got up and peeled out of the parking lot, headed for home, which was literally 40 seconds away. He broke the rules. He knew it was the only way to get immediately removed. It was even in writing because I made him sign a letter stating the rules, so I ejected him from the apartment that day despite his protests. Fast forward 4 months. He would call me occasionally and update me on how he was doing. He said he got a new job making tons of money. I congratulated him. I was saving money since kicking him out. I didn't pay attention to my balance as I kept a running tally in my head. My girlfriend decided we should go to the beach for the weekend as I had a rare weekend off. I went to withdraw $300 so we could have a blast. Insufficient funds. I thought there has to be an error, so I tried again. Same error. Went home and checked my bank statement. I was over $9,500 shy of where I should have been. I checked my statements. There were huge cash withdrawals every day up to the maximum allowed limit, day after day after day. $900 at AT&T, an astronomical sum at the time. Hundreds of dollars at liquor stores, clothes, dozens of transactions I never made, etc. I printed my statements and went directly to the large regional branch. I was told it was definitely identity theft and that it's unusual because it was in the north of my town. I was told to get anything back, I had to turn the investigation over to the bank, so I did. A few days later, I got a phone call from the officer investigating. He asked me to meet. He had a stack of printed photos almost a foot high as every transaction on an ATM takes a picture. Do you know this guy? I informed the detective it was Kyle. Investigator told me Kyle had the money to evade police for a long time if he so desired, and no stable address or job to be picked up at. So it'd be a long shot of finding him. I told my buddy, Rick, from here on out, what happened. Rick was a gruff, 6'4" Native American man who was very well muscled from a life of hard labor. Rick was a good person, but if you screwed with him or his friends, he was devious and loved scorched earth tactics. You didn't bring small problems to him. He immediately offered to help. We became friends after I found out he was sleeping with Betty Jo, who was a little person, 4'8" in heels. He came into the store and I started laughing because the mental image was too much. He said, "What are you smiling at, gay slur?" We were friends ever since. Now, Kyle loved Rick, despite the fact that Rick was a massive a-hole to him on a regular basis. Kyle wanted his approval desperately. We concocted a plan. He would call Kyle, get him to come over under the guise that I had a falling out with Rick over the way I treated Kyle. Naturally, Kyle ate the story hook, line, and sinker. Kyle gave Rick an address to meet, an abandoned car wash in the north side of town. We loaded up his truck. The trap was set. Rick hops out of the truck and tells Kyle to get in. I was laying down in the front seat so he couldn't see me. He opens the door and I put him in a headlock and pull him in. We go back to Rick's place while my brother visibly sweats and even cries at some points. We cook him dinner and calmly sit down, eat, and then get cleaned up. The entire time, Kyle had convinced himself he was about to get murdered in the woods. We gave him a chance to explain himself. Naturally, as was his way, he lied, denied, and swore on everyone, living and dead, that he had nothing to do with it. I grabbed a stack of photos from the investigator and silently slid them across the table. Again, he denied everything. "This was a setup. You're trying to make me a felon. I did nothing wrong." I had enough. I called the non-emergency number and the police came to pick him up. We said he showed up unexpectedly and started to get violent. When they searched him, he had illegal stuff, a felony, and he tried to assault me in front of the officer, screaming about how we set him up and all of this was unjust. He ended up getting arrested on something like 350 felonies as every transaction crossed state lines. This was pled down to 1 or 2 felonies. Kyle ended up getting 5 years with early release in 3. I think this was because, despite his checkered past, family never pressed charges, so his record was clean. He has been in and out of 5-star luxury federal resorts ever since for such wonderful things as the manufacturing and distribution of illegal crap, child endangerment, theft, etc. I ended up with a full refund. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.